baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It is a Thursday, which means it's Family Feud Day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's a Family Feud Day. It's been a while because we were going to do Family Feud Section 10 versus Baseball is Dead in Tejas, but we didn't want to risk it. After the equipment mishap with the Dinger Derby, we were like, could we do Family Feud and have it be live? Yes. Do we want to promise that to the people and not be able to deliver on another thing? No. So that'll still happen. I think what we should do, and probably what will happen,
it's a bloodbath waiting to happen, is what that is. That's a fucking bloodbath waiting.
A lot of people
happen.
were asking what team would Gerrit be on, and I would be on Team BID.
I was going to say, you want to stick with the winning team, brother.
Yeah, you want to be on the team that's going to create an absolute bloodbath.
It would be me, Jayhay, Dallas, and Joe versus Coley, Steve, Tyler, and Jake.
I hope Jake's ready to carry.
We need to work on like who's on the ones and twos for that. Like who's hosting. Like we had a lot of moving parts. Yeah. Who's hosting, who's producing, because the host is Jayhay, the producer is Jake, and if they're both participants on opposite teams, then we kind of have an issue.
Trouble. Yeah, Jake, they're gonna need another first round Dinger Derby performance out of you, is what they're going to need. Also,
the survey questions, I believe, were come up with by Jayhay or Corey. Who comes up with those?
Well, can you say that again?
The survey questions were come up with by. Who comes up with the questions?
Yeah, generally I do, or Jake and I do together, some combination.
I said that correctly. I don't know why Dallas is laughing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I did.
Absolutely not.
The questions were come up with by
the English
Jayhay.
language.
That's correct. The questions were come up with.
Yep. Created by
Justin Hit. Yes. Same thing.
For
synonyms. Sure. Yeah. I don't know why you're laughing. I was right.
You identified the right person. That's for damn sure.
Jayhay comes up with the questions. So we need somebody to do this that isn't Jayhay. So we just had a lot of moving parts that we needed to nail down.
Yep.
That's all. Dallas, you have any interest in seeing the movie Twisters?
Like, is this the number 2?
Huh?
Yeah, the remake or the new chapter of
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
It's in theaters now. I guess there's this really hot guy in it. All the girls are just like,
what's his name?
I don't know. They're
I'll be
loving
the judge of that.
What's his name? Jake, you know.
I don't know the Hawkeye now.
Okay. All right.
I'm in on the. I sent you guys a text last night. It was late.
Oh, Glenn Powell. Wait, is that his real name or his name?
Colin Powell is in this movie?
No, Glenn.
That's the hot
Glenn
dude?
Powell. Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell is the hot
He
guy.
plays a man named Tyler Owens in the film.
Oh. Let's go look at this guy.
I mean, I think he's the hot man.
Jake, book Glenn Powell. I got some questions.
Or maybe they're speaking about David Cornsweet.
That's not his name.
Who plays Scott.
There's no way that's a name, dude. Yeah, I think this might be this is the hot guy.
Glenn Powell.
Yep,
Glenn Powell. He's got 2.1 million followers. Twisters in theaters now.
I see a photo of him from Men's Health where he's doing he's doing exercises with no shirt on.
That's a jump rope.
Yeah.
That's a jump
jump rope. That's the word I was looking for. Jump rope.
Yeah.
I defaulted to exercise. Yeah, no, we're good.
I'm fine.
This morning?
I'm fine. I didn't misspeak. I did not misspeak.
All right.
Don't put it in the description for this podcast.
I just had trouble coming up with the new correct word there. That's all.
So all right, shout out Glenn Powell. He's gonna be in the podcast next week.
That's huge. Nailed it.
I got some questions to ask him about his workout regimen, his physique.
I heard he goes by Boog Powell.
Oh,
you sure it's not Glenny?
Yeah, it would be if you were calling the games.
Yeah.
Glenny.
Oh, you know GP?
Oh yeah, Pauli.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, why are you asking me about Twister? Of course,
I don't know. I want to see it. I don't know. I want to see it. I want to talk to someone who's seen it. I haven't talked to someone who's seen it yet.
I want to go. You know what? That's funny you say that because my wife just said, since I am going to be home here for the next 8 days or whatever it is, she was like, "We got some movies out. I want to go see some movies." So
she wants to go see the moon landing. What the fuck is wrong with me? Am I having a seizure?
Yes, you guys. Seriously, can you guys take 5 and fucking tighten it up?
I am on show number 6 in a row since I woke up on Tuesday.
Oh.
No. You have not been on the air
2 days ago?
Hours.
2.5 days ago?
I broadcasted a big league ball game on Tuesday night, and it was a late start, and then did 3 shows yesterday, and then woke up and doing this one. I'm in the middle of a gauntlet right now. And then I gotta do another one tomorrow. My brain is mush. I need to sleep.
Slow Thursday. You're not up doing anything before 10 a.m. any day of the week. So
I'm doing the rundown for you because you're crying about me not giving you the rundown. So I wake up early. I do the rundown so that you have your fucking material so you can make your notes, be prepared. What time did I send the rundown this morning? 9:30?
About an hour before I would wake up. Yep.
Yeah. Well, you're sleeping. I'm working, Dallas. All right.
Holla back.
Yeah. Grind doesn't stop.
Never.
Especially doesn't stop with Underdog. The MLB season is in full swing, and Underdog Fantasy wants to make it a lot more interesting. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as selecting higher or lower on player stats, strikeouts, total bases, home runs, and so much more. Make entries of all baseball or mix and match across your other favorite sports. You can win up to 100 times your money, and it's a ton of fun. Dallas, what would you say is the higher or lower for career appearances remaining in an Oakland A's uniform for Mason Miller?
I think there's a lot there, a lot years worth of performances. So
years,
I'm gonna say,
you say?
Yeah, years. Years worth of performances.
Multiple years. Higher or lower. Let's call it 7.5 games played in an Oakland A's uniform for Brent Rooker.
What's the date today?
July 25th.
Lower.
Oh, he's gone. He gone?
Lower.
Where do you think he's going?
I know there's some folks on the East Coast that have been kicking the tires.
Does any of the teams rhyme with the Schmoston Bed Sox?
No, not that I have heard directly. I know there's a couple guys that have been identified, and it's Andujar and it's Rooker. Both guys, I think, seemingly fitting the same bill to an extent for interested clubs, right? A guy who can play outfield, a guy who obviously has power from the right side, a guy who you can pencil in every day. I think both of those dudes represent that. It's just a matter of where your fit is. Is it more so defensively you need these guys, or are you more than okay with just having them fill that DH need? But for Brent Rooker, I mean, he's a guy who has rounded out this season into more of a total and complete hitter, and that has garnered a lot of the interest. I know the conversation point that I continue to go back to, and that I think you're starting to hear from some members of the front office for the Athletics, is just because you feel like we should be making a move right now, and just because you feel like that's the writing on the wall, doesn't mean that we are staring at the same writing on the same wall, which means they might feel like Brent Rooker is actually a part of their future moving forward. And you can laugh and joke about what that future looks like. I understand. So that's why I feel like Brent Rooker is probably closer to not being an Oakland Athletic than he is to staying an Athletic for the foreseeable future. Just because, in my opinion, that theory, I'm going to need to see the first move of that to think that that's real, something that I need to entertain, which is the Athletics keeping players to move into the next wave of their franchise. I will need to see that happen before I can believe it. And I'm saying that to you right now as the individual who's watched more A's baseball than anybody on the planet.
Jake, did he say yes or no? He just said a lot of fucking words. Did he say yes or no about Brent Rooker to the Red Sox? I wasn't paying attention.
I think he said no so far.
Okay. All right. Make sure you sign up with the promo code Jared. That's Jared to get up to $250 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. They're probably going to just like overvalue. I love Brent Rooker, but they're going to overvalue him, and it's not a fit for the Sox.
Not a fit
Not a
for
fit
Well,
for
you
the
know what,
Sox,
Jared?
right?
Now that we're talking about fits and socks and trying things on,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's got to be an exciting day. It's got to be an exciting day for Red Sox fans.
Why? Oh, because of Alex Cora. Oh, yeah. I didn't even have that in the rundown. Jesus Christ.
Well, I know.
That's on
And
me.
look, I'm not even sure. And this is probably on me, Jared. This is probably on me. And I'll
Mhm.
take this one for the team here.
Sure.
I'm not doing enough of the legwork because we should be able to give our listeners insight, right? Like
Mhm.
if I have a relationship with somebody and I'm able to have these conversations, I want to be able to give them some meat and potatoes, some substance to chew on and think about. And from the corners that I was tapping into, I was hearing everything but this was a possibility. I was hearing
Correct.
this is no chance. This is not even absolutely not. Craig Breslow might be the manager of the Red Sox before Alex Cora is brought back, before he decides to sign up again, however you want to view it. But then I woke up today, I went to bed last night, with Alex Cora being the second richest manager in baseball, signing the second most lucrative deal for a manager in
Correct.
baseball.
Mhm.
Talking 3 years, 21 and a half of them things, breaded up, chicken titties.
Mhm.
So does this signify a shift in approach for the Boston Red Sox? There's no way you can go and sign an Alex Cora type up and get him to commit to what you're selling him if what you're selling him isn't something that he can get on board with. So am I crazy for thinking that this should signify the Boston Red Sox graduating from being interested in the postseason to having major and serious postseason aspirations? That's my perspective from way over here, who was being fed, maybe I don't want to call it misinformation, but maybe being led astray
Not misinformation.
by my insight.
No, it was not misinformation. Yeah, you're referring to me saying that there was a 0% chance that Alex Cora was going to stay here beyond this year.
Well, that would be the starting point.
Yeah. So the question now is what changed? Because I
it money?
know in April he was gone. In April, when I started to say this, that was the decision. Like he was gone. He wasn't coming back. That seemed pretty adamant. Now it's July, almost August. So we're talking 3 months later. Obviously, things can change. And that was one of the like people were like criticizing, oh, you don't know shit, blah, blah, blah. No. 3 months is a long time for you to be able to change the course of something like that. But as far as what changed, that I don't know. What I can tell you is that in April, yeah, it was done. He was gone, not coming back. If you listen to him talk yesterday, he heavily implied like that his family was a big reason for why he was staying. He said, you know, my daughter, my sons, Angelica, his partner, like they wanted to be here. He was going to get a bag anywhere. So he wanted to have something, I guess, that was comparable to what Craig Counsell got. It wasn't in terms of years. I think Counsell got 5 years. Cora got 3 years, but maybe that was his choice. You know, this is someone that has talked about, I don't want to be in the dugout forever. So he got financially taken care of, and he asked his family, where do you guys want to be? Like, what do you guys want out of this experience of my managerial free agency? And it sounded like, I mean, it didn't even sound like it. He's telling you this is where they want it to be. So this is where he will be. So when the news broke, I kind of tweeted out like, oh, this is very encouraging for the Red Sox moving forward, because ownership must have gotten in his ear and said, we will absolutely, like, you have our word that we are going to be invested and we're going to get back on the horse and we're going to spend again and we're going to try to win championships again while you're here and try to maximize having one of the best managers in baseball in our dugout. Even if that did happen, you can't take them at their word unless there's some sort of language in his contract
Well,
where the Red Sox have to be like in, the top 25% was what Maz was saying. The top 25% in payroll, they have to be somewhere in there contractually or like he can opt out or something like that. But if you just listen to him talk and you put all the puzzle pieces together, April, he's out of here. July, we're signed back up for 3 years. This is where my family wants to be. Okay.
It's called negotiation. That's all that is negotiation. I can understand like from a distance why you start to give that perspective, some room to run. Okay, can we buy in this? Can we buy into this? Can we believe this? But I think initially it's all about negotiation tactics. Nope. No, because it's not like he can say, I don't want to entertain the future. If you don't have an offer for me right here, right now, then I'm done listening. We'll see you at the end of the season. That might be something you can do as a player. As a manager, when you're talking about trying to create a culture and grow a culture in the organization, the way that Alex Cora has done, you don't just turn your back on something like that and say, I can't entertain the growth of this situation until the end of the season. No. Like, we got to have these conversations whenever you want to have them. So we are making sure that our path to the future is what we want it to be. So initially, I think it was just about putting the organization on notice. Hey, here's how I feel. And until you get your things together, until you get your ducks in a row and you guys are clicking as an entity on your end of things, don't come calling me. All right. I know what I want to do. I know what I'm prepared to do. And if you can't get your stuff together, well, then I am not going to be factoring into your decision making. So that's where we're at right now. And what changes over that 3-month period, 4-month period, Jared, is the comfort level between Craig Breslow, the new man in town, and everybody else that he's operating with, right? Everybody just gets a little more comfy with each other. We're on the same page more so than we were in April. And now we feel good about the direction we're heading. And we feel good about the commitment we're ready to make, not only to our staff, but to the fans in terms of a winning approach and how we want to do things. Because with Alex Cora comes the desire to win baseball games and win championships. And if you're not going to put that group in a position to do that, and you're not going to give him the firepower to try to put that together, then why are we even having the conversation? And that's what happens in July, is everybody got their shit together over those 3 to 4 months, and now they have a manager for the future. So This wasn't anything I, in my opinion, was ever really truly worried about, because there's a few teams who
You weren't worried about Alex Cora leaving? I wasn't the only one saying that he was gone. Everyone was saying he was gone. I just knew it for more of a fact that like this was the case. This was the thought process that he wasn't coming back. So, like I said, something changed. Was it his family going to him and saying, like, hey, this is where we want to be? Like, we don't want to go to fucking LA or where, like, we don't even know what the openings are going to be. Like, everyone keeps saying the Dodgers and the Yankees, but like, we don't even know that those will be open. That could have been a situation where he ends up taking a year off or something like that. Someone got in his ear, whether it was ownership, his family, or both, and changed his line of thinking. That's the only thing that could have happened here, because it could not have been anything else.
Does it give you any pause at all if it took this kind of convincing from his family?
Mm-hmm.
Then do you have any question on whether or not he is as committed to being here as you would like your manager to be?
No, because you can see it with this group that he's 100% committed to the group in the room. I think
no doubt.
If there were a disconnect with ownership, it's still like, no, I'm not saying that this is what it is, because I don't know that. I don't know what his relationship. I know he's like very tight with like Raquel Ferreira, Eddie Romero. Like there's underlings there that like under like Craig Breslow. I can't speak to his relationship with Breslow. He says that it's grown over the last few months. I have no idea. I don't know Breslow at all. I've never spoken to the dude. He's just like a robot. I don't even think I would enjoy talking to him. But his relationship with John Henry must be good because John Henry was like, all right, let's give you Craig Counsell money to stay. And it wasn't even like a thought. And to kind of throw into the mix here, Craig Breslow flew out to Denver to get this done. So I don't know how to read into that. I was saying on Section 10 to Tyler last night about, isn't that a little bit of a red flag that you want to get this deal with Cora done before the trade deadline? Because if they fucking shit the bed at the trade deadline, then Cora's going to be like, fuck you, I'm definitely out. And that's not to say that he wouldn't come back after being a free agent, but you're definitely not going to get him to sign an extension before seeing what else is out there if you just flub this trade deadline.
Well, wouldn't that create one of the most toxic situations to be a part of right now? And wouldn't that be like walking into an armory, picking out the biggest bazooka they have, and then pointing it straight at your own foot and pulling the trigger? Blowing your own foot off, not shooting yourself in the foot.
It might not be a lack of effort, though. It might just be like, look at how many teams are sellers and look at how many teams are buyers or potential buyers.
We can have that conversation if we're in the National League. That's a cute conversation to have. But this isn't.
You're playing musical chairs with like 8 participants, or like not even. You're playing musical chairs with like 18 participants and 4 seats. You know, like that's what the trade deadline's going to be.
But my thought is this a move? Because you raised the question of, does it raise a red flag that they're trying to get this done at this time? And so what I'm saying is, should they do, let's say that's the case, and he tries to get Cora to sign, which he did, it's a done deal, and now they don't do anything. How does that go? How does that conversation start? How does that conversation end? And is that a real strategic approach where, hey, look, we're trying to land our manager for the future. We'd also like to get some pieces to help us in this season right now. Which one is more beneficial for us? Well, I think the manager for the next 3 years is more beneficial for us, regardless of what this year looks like. So let's get that deal done. And if it does get done, great. Now we don't necessarily have the same pressure to get anything else done for the roster. Like, that is just an absolute insane outlook to me. I can't, I don't know. That's a hell of an approach. That is a hell of an approach.
What's your read on it, Jayhay?
In terms of the dynamic between like the timing of the extension?
The timing, and what do you think changed?
I think the number one thing that changed is that they offered him an enormous amount of money.
But he could get that anywhere.
Maybe.
Definitely. If Counsell got it, Cora was going to get it, especially after what he did with this roster this year. No one had the Red Sox in a playoff spot this year.
Yeah, I think drawing the Counsell comparison is interesting, though, because I wonder how much of an outlier that contract is going to prove to be. Like, at the time, I think the assumption was this is the next step in managerial compensation that higher end guys that are well regarded in the prime of their managing careers are going to get. And I'm wondering, I don't know, I have no idea, but I am wondering whether that's going to prove to be essentially a one-off. It is not working, so to speak, for the Cubs so far. They're paying top dollar for manager for a last place or fourth place, whatever the Cubs end up finishing in their own division. It's kind of embarrassing that the Brewers let that or that happened to the Brewers. They replaced him with a much less expensive manager, and the Brewers are going to win the division or at least be much better than the Cubs. But as an aside, so yes, you're right. He would have gotten well compensated somewhere. I think being paid at or near the top of your profession and having it be in the place that you are comfortable with, that combination, while not a revelation to share with the listeners, I just think that's what it is. I think that probably explains the vast majority of it. And if there's another really specific thing that changed, I don't have any idea, and I'm never probably going to have any idea about it. I think it's a great development for the Red Sox. I think it's very quantifying managerial impact is maybe like one of the last great frontiers in what we'll just generally call sabermetrics or or the baseball statistical landscape. Whether it happens or not, I have no idea. But to the extent that we can measure this sort of stuff intuitively, statistically, Alex Cora seems like a really, really good manager. And I think there are probably only a half dozen or so managers in the game at a given time that you can point to confidently and say, that guy's a net positive for my team. That guy is making a net positive contribution to winning with my organization. And I think the vast majority of other guys are just kind of shuffling him in and out. And Cora stands out in that way.
A manager these days, Jayhay, is somebody that you have the utmost confidence in being able to speak publicly about the direction of your franchise during times of turbulence, during times of success. This is an individual that has to be able to connect with your roster and the extensions of that roster, not just the 26 guys in the room in the big leagues, but everybody else that comes through that door. He has to be able to manage up and down as well as laterally. So this has, in this day and age of baseball, where I have talked about the two lists that managers get to manage from, the one that comes down from the front office, here's your list of decisions to make. Should they go right? Outstanding. Should they go wrong? Doesn't matter. The algorithm told us this was how we do it. And then they have their baseball IQ list that they get to manage from. And that's the one where if they make mistakes, they've got to be able to answer those questions. They also have to have earned the opportunity to manage from that list. And to your point, Jay, I think there's probably only a handful of guys around the game that have the freedom to manage from their baseball IQ list as opposed to just managing from the algorithm.
Well, and all the evidence that we have suggests that he's one of, if not the best in the game currently at synthesizing like all parts of it. He's not ignoring the numbers. He's not necessarily dependent on them. He seems to forge great relationships. He's also not subjected to the whims of one star player in the corner of the Red Sox locker room, right? It's more diverse than that. It's lasted through really two regimes, if not three, in terms of roster turnover and stuff like that too. I've never obviously been a professional baseball player, but what I have done is worked with Alex Cora in a professional setting. And to your point about being able to manage up and down, not all talent, not all on-air people, not all former players who come in and worked on Baseball Tonight or it's on SportsCenter or any other venture that I've been a part of, manage up and down or treat people up and down with a level of respect. And Alex Cora actually is one of those people. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true. And I think he demonstrated a level of engagement and respect with, the people who were cutting his breakdown videos in the same way that he engaged with, the people who functionally ran the show or a Carl Ravitch or hosting the show or something like that. So that stuff translates. And I think everybody thought it would translate when he became a manager. And, I guess we've spent a long time talking about it at this point, but for the Red Sox, I think it's a much bigger win for the Red Sox than it is for Alex Cora, so to speak, to Jared's point about being able to get compensated anywhere. But it's also nice that you can stay at a place where you've carved out real influence, a real like cultural impact, and where you've also won a ring.
Yeah. That's where he should be. He belongs here.
100%.
It'd be weird if he wasn't here. Be weird if he took a year off. Be weird if he went back to TV. Be weird if he was just randomly managing the Dodgers or if he went to the Yankees. The Yankees are never firing Aaron Boone, by the way. I know that Yankee fans.
Yeah.
Every
That's
year.
when you said Yankees, Dodgers,
him.
Those are two places I don't see either one of those managers leaving for a while.
Yeah.
All right. Since you brought the Boone thing up, I have to say it. I know that fans just blame managers because they know that it's the one guy that can actually be held accountable, so to speak, in the off season or whatever. And for the fans who tune in every day to watch a team, I know that specific things or that a manager can do or say get on your nerves or can become very irritating over 162 over multiple seasons. But this insistence that Aaron Boone is some sort of active problem for the Yankees just drives me fucking crazy. It's like Is he the best manager in the game? Probably not. Is he one of the bottom 5 or 10? I would say definitely not. Also, like there's the idea that the Yankees are 60-44, 104 games into the season with the roster that is being trotted out there around 2 great offensive players. Like, how is that not a win? For any other manager, that would be considered a win. If this was Boone's first season and this was the job that he was doing, I'm totally convinced that it would be viewed in a different light. Like, this team is not good outside of these 2 players, and it's particularly not good if Gerrit Cole's as bad as he was last night. Like, I know why people blame the manager, but to me, this is so much more a roster problem than it is like anything to do with like the buttons that a manager is pushing in the 6th or 7th inning. Like, give me a break. Their own team doesn't even think that the offense is good outside of those 2 players. So who are we fooling?
That was a great quote by Juan Soto, by the way.
It was, I don't remember a quote like that from a player in baseball. Like that, maybe basketball, I've heard something like that, where it really is sometimes on 1 or 2 guys and they get fucking fed up with it. It's like, yo, you can't win in basketball with 2 good players. It's like, baseball, it's different. I've never heard a guy be like, yo, it's got to be more than, what was it? There have to be more than 2 of us.
You see guys getting hot, like DJ swung the bat well today. Verdugo take more than 2 guys to go to the World Series and win it. I think when you see guys getting hot, like DJ swung the bat well today, Verdugo go up on us, and I mean it's just great to see those guys to start firing it up and try to get the team.
He said it's going to take more than 2 guys to go to the World Series.
He ain't lying.
Yeah, the reaction to that was very calm and understanding by Yankee fans. You know, they're like, yeah, he's gone. It's too bad. It's too bad because he seemed like a great fit there.
I mean, that's just it. Done. Gone.
No, come on.
What do you mean, come on?
He's not gone.
Oh, he's gone.
No, Juan Soto dies a Yankee.
The Yankee, no, he doesn't. The Yankees are 10-22 in their last 32 games. That's a .313 winning percentage.
I get it. That's not good.
Bad.
What do we think the cause of that is? Is it Aaron Boone?
I don't believe so. No,
I don't believe so either. I believe
What's his ERA? What's his ERA during that stretch? Like how do you blame that? Well, it's like you know what? I'm out. I'm not even. It's just so it's a tiresome conversation to have.
It's old school. Oh, the team sucks. Fire the manager. It's like, all right, why don't we look at some numbers and be like, oh, here's why we suck. You know, if the manager, like, I don't know, Dave Roberts, for example, when he kept putting Ryan Madsen into the game in fucking 2018 during the World Series and giving up moon bombs, and it's like, yeah, we have better options. That's a managerial thing. It's like, all right, well, we pointed to the manager as to why we probably sucked a little bit. But with the Yankees, you could probably dig up some stats and be like, oh, here's why we suck. I mean, like, look at some of the starting pitchers. You look at Carlos Rodon, sucks over the last, 7 starts. You look at Marcus Stroman, he's sucked. He's been very lucky. His FIP is, I think he has the biggest discrepancy between FIP and ERA in the league, or close to it. Gerrit Cole sucks. Objectively, he sucks. Is Aaron Boone the reason why some of these starting pitchers are just not performing well? Who am I missing? Who else is? I mean, look, Nestor sucks over the last few stuff. Like their rotation is an ass cheeks, and then you got Juan Soto standing there being like, "Yeah, we have 2 dudes in this lineup who can hit. I'm one of them. The other guy is Aaron Judge, and the rest of the team sucks." It's not Aaron Boone's fault either.
No, the Yankees have outside of Soto and Judge, they have 1 player hitting north of 250.
I mean,
Ben Rice, like who the fuck just started over Ben Rice the other night? Did they put like DJ LeMahieu in there over Ben Rice or something like that? It was something outrageous. Like that's a managerial decision, or maybe it's not. Maybe that comes from up top. Maybe you've got the nerds handing down the spreadsheets, being like, "This is the lineup, Aaron."
Dude. Okay, so put the two superstars aside: Ben Rice, Austin Wells, Gleyber Torres, Verdugo, Volpe, Trent Grisham, DJ LeMahieu, Narvaez, JD Davis, Jahmai Jones, and Osvaldo Cabrera. What would you expect those people to do?
Well, I can tell you what I expected with JD Davis hitting cleanup for the Athletics.
Yeah, like JD Davis wasn't.
JD Davis, yeah.
Not a ton. And
JD
now JD
Davis wasn't
is hitting cleanup for the Yankees.
Right. So he was traded from Oakland to like he's on like his third team this season. I mean, the Giants kicked him loose when Chapman was signed, right? Like Trent Grisham is a journeyman. DJ LeMahieu, we're all on the same page, is at the very, very back end, final moments of his career. Like Verdugo is not a standout player. Gleyber Torres has been mediocre for 3 straight seasons now. I don't understand where the disconnect is with like, this is the roster that this man has been provided versus we should somehow be more than 16 games above 500. Like I know the shape of a season matters, particularly for day-to-day Yankee fans. Going 10-22 or whatever Gerrit said is a tough turn after the start of the season. But did anybody think that was a true talent 675 winning percentage Yankees team? Like, come on. I just, yeah, I'm biased because I've met the man before, but like, I'm not that biased. Like he's not making a clown show out of managing every night. This roster just isn't very good. And no one seems to dispute that. So I don't
I mean,
no one's arguing on behalf of like these players. And like Volpe in particular, that was Cashman holding on to what was supposed to be the gem of this next wave of the farm system. And after a absolutely blistering first 6 weeks or whatever it was of the season, he's been like awful offensively and is just kind of a guy when you look at the whole picture. And it's like, okay, so are we blaming Aaron Boone for not developing Anthony Volpe in the major leagues?
No, I mean, it's easy to look at, like,
to
you can look at those places. Like, you can look at a Verdugo and how's that production gone? He's supposed
the same
to be
guy that he's always been.
Right. And
maybe worse.
There's nothing there, right? Trent Grisham, you bring him out. He's not that he was going to be a huge impact for you. Probably just depth. Well, that's at best on its best day. That's what that has been on its best day. There's just nothing clicking. Nothing.
Well, it's too bad, because there's a lot of hope coming into the year. There's a lot of hope when they got off to a great start. Yeah, the AL East standings since June 15th, the Red Sox are 31-19. They'd be in first place, 613 winning percentage. Then you have the Rays at 18-14. Then you have the Orioles at 15-17. Yikes, they have a losing record. Then you have the Blue Jays 13-19, and the Yankees would be in last place at 10-22.
I mean, if anything, the Yankees pitching staff is going to be what pulls them out of this little
funk. They're going to be worse. Yeah, I think they're going to continue to get worse. Especially this weekend. They got to play the Red Sox this weekend at Fenway Park. So it doesn't get any easier for these New York Yankees. The uphill climb continues to get steeper, Dallas. It's really unfortunate. But it is what it is. It's not Aaron Boone's fault. What does he got? A 600 winning percentage as Yankees manager, and they want to blame this fucking guy? Give me a break. I can't wait to hug him. I'm going to hug him this weekend. I'm going to see him on Friday. I'm going to give him a big old hug and say, hey, congrats on a great start to the season, man. You guys are doing it.
They'll like that. They'll
so
appreciate
disrespectful.
That.
Yeah.
Well,
he's a great man.
Great. He is a great man. You want to talk about a team that's really sucking? Seattle Mariners got booed off the field yesterday.
Deservedly so. Are you fucking kidding me?
They have lost 8 of 9. 20 of 29 and got booed off the fucking field. That is, let me pull up some numbers here for you. Since June 19th, the Seattle Mariners are 9-20. The only team that is worse than that. Actually, over the same span, you know who else is 9-20? The Yankees. Oof. The only team worse than the Yankees and the Mariners since June 19th would be the Chicago White Sox, who we're going to, I guess we're not going to pile on that, but we do have the Chicago White Sox here. And everyone knows why the Mariners suck. During that span, a 622 OPS, that is the only team worse than them is the White Sox offensively. But over the same span, fourth, a 3.13 ERA for their starters. The Rays, Pirates, and Royals are the only teams that have been better. Their bullpen, where are they at bullpen-wise? Middle of the pack, 13th. But still 383 is pretty damn good. So overall, during this span in which they were 9-20, they have the best ERA in the American League. Braves, Pirates, Cubs, and then Mariners at 338.
The Mariners are a mash unit right now. Injuries. They are wounded. They just suffered another injury last night during the game with relievers. Santos got pulled mid at bat. Crawford's down. Julio Rodriguez is down. They're in bad shape right now. Bad shape. But like I said about the Yankees, the only thing that's going to be able to pull these guys out of it or keep them within striking distance is what the pitching staff has done. But it's been the pitching staff that has done this all season long up to this point, and you're now starting to see the effects of having zero offense to help support the pitching staff, because it can go quickly from being able to give you quality start after quality start after quality start, and then a couple of those games you don't win just because there's no offense, but you're still getting performances on the mound. You give it 2 weeks of that, the stress on those guys out of the bullpen and on the mound starts to mount up. And now the games where you're just allowing 3 runs or so, now it's a 5 spot here. It's a 7 spot here, and you're never able to reel it in. And when you do reel it in, the offense is still not there, and you're losing the close ball games, the low scoring ball games. You're just not able to win on either side of a contest right now if you're the Mariners, and you have no health to support it.
Dude, they just played the 3-game series against the Angels and scored one run, and 1 run. Like, are you kidding me? You said either last podcast, you being Dallas, said that and I actually was listening to your broadcast yesterday too, and you guys did a sidebar on the Mariners, and you made a similar point about how they were banged up and they're missing Julio, but what had Julio really been delivering for them, and how big of a loss is that, quote unquote. But what really got me thinking with another loss was this idea that if you add to this team, what are you really doing? And it's I'm now really conflicted because their performance has been so pathetic and this offense sucks so much and will probably continue to suck moving forward that are you just wasting resources throwing assets at this problem right now because it is such a sunk cost offensively? But if you get to that point while you're still 2 games over 500, and it's crazy, they're only 2 games over 500 now, and 1 game out of the division, if that's the mindset you get to, then you consequently get to a place where you're well, what is the point then of this team? If you're not willing to push forward, even in something of a lost cause, then how do you go into this offseason and keep this pitching staff? I don't know. It's just
what, Jay?
It's such a hard spot because this offense is really is there a single guy other than maybe the big dumper that you really want that starting for you offensively or are okay with offensively? The 8 other guys are just bad. They're just bad.
Dude, they just think about the move with Ty France, Jay. This is a guy 2 years ago was a fucking all-star, right? And now this year he can't play first base for you. Now he's not good enough to help you out. Ty France, see you later. Okay, who you plugging in?
I mean, if you look at this stretch that we're talking about, I set it to 80 plate appearances. That gives you 8 hitters who have made at least or had at least 80 plate appearances during this stretch. The 9 and 20 stretch. You've got 2 dudes that are batting over 200, like Polanco, and it's not by much. Like Julio Rodriguez is hitting 261, Cal Raleigh's hitting 218, and Polanco is hitting 211. Everyone else is hitting under 200. The OPS, 3 through 8, you have 2 dudes with an OPS over 581, and it's 748 for Julio, and Cal Raleigh has an OPS of 793.
Yeah.
All the other OPS is 577, 581, 558, 546, 485, 467. So it's like you DFA Ty France, but you could DFA fucking half your lineup.
Anybody. Yeah, anybody. Ty France just happened to be the name that got pulled out of the hat.
Yep. You have a DH that's hitting a $139 with a 546 OPS over this stretch.
Yeah. And I mean,
your first baseman, Ty France, hitting 161 with a 485 over that stretch.
And so, like, for the Mariners, is this a quiet signaling of, hey, we're just going to let the chips fall where they may. We're not going to make any sort of moves or try to supplement an offense that, frankly,
you can't not. I mean,
but what do you do, though, Jared? What do you do? You're going to need to make some serious moves, my friend. Serious moves.
I agree with you. I agree. But put it this way. They are in such a tough spot because if we're going to use the boat with a hole in it analogy, you have 9 fucking holes. So plugging 1 or 2 of them, you're still going to sink. If the Seattle Mariners are wasting one of the best pitching staffs in Major League Baseball by having this pathetic waste of an excuse lineup. So you go out there and you add a bat, right? Is that going to be enough? No. If you add 2 bats, is that going to be enough? Probably not.
So Jared,
but how, if you're running this team, how do you just stand idly by and do nothing? It's almost like optics of it. The division is not necessarily up for grabs, but it's within reach right now. At the time of the deadline, it's up for grabs. By the end of it, like by the end of the season, the Astros might win this division by fucking 8 or 10 games. But for right now, it's right there. You have to do something.
They've handcuffed themselves, though. And this is what happens when you're in this situation that the Seattle Mariners are in. They're not able to deal from a place of strength. So they're going to have to deal from a place of resource. Well, that resource pool is on the mound.
Yeah.
And so how are you going to take away from your strength in an effort to try to get better? Right? It seems like you're just going to be cutting off one finger to try to sew on another in a bad spot. Like you're chasing your tail. Like if the pitching is what has kept us in this and is the only reason we're even in the conversation, how do we conceivably part ways with 2 arms thinking we're going to get enough offense back? Like
you said that.
I said Brian Wu. Brian Wu's got to go. If you think that you're going to get, he's a part of it. Has to be.
The Mariners have arguably the best system in baseball. And if you look at their top 10 prospects, they're all position players. Like, so you don't necessarily have to deal an arm. Like if you look at the Mariners' top 10 prospects, you're going to see some shortstops, some outfielders, some catchers, whatever. So like, I get that if you wave an established big league arm in front of a team, you're going to be able to get something done a lot quicker than being like, hey, we have some lottery tickets. Are you interested in those? But when you have some organizations are going to look at the Seattle Mariners system and call them the number 1 system in baseball.
So then, Jared, if that's the case, how can the Seattle Mariners, with what you're telling us about their depth on the position player side of things, how can you deal from there? If the future tells you that you have shit in your lineup, but what you have in the coffers is something that you could be excited about, is something that is putting you in the top 10 organizational conversation for your farm system, then why would you start to deal from that resource pool in an effort to supplement what you have right now? Don't you think about the future? If I've got a top 10 system and a lot of that has to do with position player strength, well, then is there any thought to me looking within I would think the answer is no, because those guys are probably not ready to come up to the big leagues and make an impact in the middle of a lineup in a postseason push. That's probably not going to happen. But if next year or the year after is a potential arrival date for some of these prospects, then wouldn't the Seattle Mariners once again be pulling out that bazooka and aiming squarely at their own foot if they were going to be moving these guys who could very well impact them over the next 2 to 3 years? That would help this conversation to not persist. If those guys are going to be present, right? So that's what I mean by the Mariners have backed themselves into a corner. The place of resource that they can deal from are two places that are absolutely going to make or break who they are as an organization over the next 5 years.
Yeah, you don't see a pitcher in the Mariners' top prospects until outside the top 10. And a lot of like the ETAs are 25, 26, 28. Tyler Locklear is their number 6 prospect. He's a first baseman, so that's probably
that's who takes over for Ty France. And what's the kid's 23 years old, right?
Yeah.
So you can understand there. Ty France, 30 years old, and in the Mariners' opinion, not getting any better. So what do? Let's bring up a guy that we feel is comparable, is young, and let's see what we have. Why are they willing to do that? Because of what they have on the pitching staff. And they figure these guys can continue to quality start us into contention. Hopefully the offense starts to emerge. Hopefully giving a guy like Locklear everyday run has him emerge into this player we think he can become.
He's got 40 plate appearances. I mean, you got to give him time. 40 plate appearances, 13 games. Hitting a .184 with a .593 OPS. So hasn't helped out yet, but he does have 2 big league home runs. And what did he do at AAA this year? 265 with an .829 OPS. So he wasn't setting the world on fire for Tacoma. But he did start the year in AA. So give him some time. Give Tyler Locklear some time. And that was talking Mariners. I feel like what points did you make on the podcast the other day, Jayhay, that Mariners fans were reacting to? Like, we just needed to hear the harsh truth, the harsh reality.
Well, I mean, since you brought that up, that, by the way, there is nothing that makes me more satisfied as a podcaster than seeing a fan base that I have no direct connection to echo or be pleased with what I said on the podcast. So shout out to them. Glad it was well received. I mean, I think it was just as simple as like the idea that this offense has been completely unacceptable and that the I think it's been less about the Astros performing at some amazing level to surge back into the postseason picture as it's been the Mariners frittering away a 10-game lead, a 9-game lead as recently as like 5 weeks ago. And that it has to be absolutely excruciating to watch this team and this front office operate year to year, given that this looks like it's going to be essentially the same frittering away of great pitching talent that we saw during the Felix Hernandez era. That was more just Felix's greatness. This is the greatness of 3 or 4 guys. But yeah, it's just, what a waste. What a waste.
Yeah. What I never understand is, from 2 different aspects, is when fan bases are like, well, we need help and we need it now. Like, why wait till the trade deadline? Like, do it now. And it's not like other teams are out there making big moves right now. It's not like other teams are getting better and you're not. But at the same time, why aren't they? Oh, well, teams are waiting to see if they're buyers or sellers. Like, there's still, because of the expanded playoff field, that there are still some teams that have not made that determination yet. So it is frustrating, but it's been done. It's been done before.
I mean, the Padres, I know Preller's like crazy aggressive or whatever, and the Marlins waved the flag early, but it's not like there haven't been deals made if you want to go pay the price to help your team early.
Shout out to Gabriel Hernandez. He's affiliated with the Last Dive Bar. That's that Oakland A's fan base. They're like the 7 line of the A's, Dallas.
Yes.
Just saw this on my timeline. He tweeted out that the A's are bumping up the face value ticket prices for the final home game in the Coliseum. They're trying to profit off just one last money grab from A's fans. It's $104.20 to sit in the third deck at the Coliseum for the final game. They've had, like, what would you say, ballpark Dallas? What would you say that ticket cost tomorrow night? $7?
Yeah, roughly. I would say
Face value. They've bumped up the like. I could understand if, like, you know, the ticket was $8 in the third deck, and then on a secondary ticket site it was $104 to sit up there. It'd probably be like more, but the Oakland A's are bumping up the ticket prices. They're price gouging their fans in the That's the most Oakland A's way to go out. We are price gouging our own fans in the final game in Oakland. Despicable. Disgusting.
wow.
Reprehensible, I would say.
You know, like, it's so it's tough to even address for me because look, because it's the Oakland A's. So I guess I have to do it like this. If this were Team X leaving from Sport X, from City X or whatever, and it was the last opportunity for a business entity to make money, and you knew that everybody was going to be interested in being there, and that your literal last ticket is going to be the hottest ticket, I think we all understand from a business perspective how that might go. And I think that's what's happening here. So I can, as much as it doesn't feel great, as much as I think is obvious, I mean, this is business, right? This is capitalism.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, outside
Listen,
of that
brother,
ugly C
listen,
word,
brother, of all the takes, that's we will
one of
mark
them.
that down as one of them for sure.
It's up there.
God bless you.
yeah, I can't. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I've seen a lot. I have seen a lot, man. I can't tell you that I am surprised.
I am a little surprised. I'll be honest. I am a little surprised. First of all, I didn't know you could do that. I feel like once you put tickets on sale, they're just like, that's what the price is. Like, I know teams have different price tiers for, like, premier opponents. They'll be like, oh, the Yankees are in town, so these tickets. But, like, I can't remember. Like, if you're a season ticket holder, pretty much, like, the ticket is what the ticket is. But they'll offer different ticket packages, and if you're trying to buy single game tickets, it's like, yeah, like the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Dodgers, like, those are going to cost more. The Cubs. But to just blatantly 10x the face value of a ticket because it's the one time that you'll have demand, just a tough look. They should be giving away tickets for fucking free as an apology to these people.
I mean, listen, Dallas cannot say whatever he wants. It's almost an unfathomable level of greed. Like, this is, at the end of the day, this is an amount of money that will just not matter to John Fisher, and that he and whoever else is making these decisions are so incapable of just one decent moment on the way out is just, I certainly will never understand that perspective because I don't have the perspective of a billionaire baseball owner or one of his henchmen, but I just do. It boggles my mind. I'm much closer to Gerrit on this. I thought my expectations for the way these people were choosing to do business on the way out couldn't have gotten much lower. And, you know, if we're taking Gabriel Hernandez's Screenshot here as at face value, gouging your fans one last time on the way out when you've boned them as hard as this group has is just fucking. My mind can't really grasp it. Honestly, I don't understand why you got to be that greedy. I really don't. Capitalism, sure. You can just point to that every time and be like, capitalism. It's like, okay, you can make your own decisions, though. Nobody's forcing you to do that. It's your team. You don't have the tickets are what they are normally. Nobody's getting on your back that the tickets for these spots normally are 75 cents. So they're not going to get on your back if you don't raise them either. It's a choice. It's entirely his choice as owner at the end of the day. And I think it's like just reprehensible greed.
Insane. Jayhay, do you have any thoughts on life insurance?
I do. I mean,
I know you
first and foremost, you need it.
You do need it, especially at this age.
You know, we've talked about it on the podcast before, but like, you know, parents go to all sorts of crazy ends to fight for their families or to make sure that their families are safe. Dallas was telling me when we were in Texas about a time where he single-handedly fought off, it was a tiger, right? From one of your daughters.
Yeah, it had 3 legs, but still a tiger.
Yeah. A 3-legged tiger to save your daughter's life. Thankfully, nobody listening on the podcast has to fight a tiger to make sure that your family is safe. Protect your loved ones in minutes with Ethos. It's affordable life insurance that's quick, easy, and maybe the best part, all online with no medical exams. Just answer a few health questions for a quote and apply for coverage at ethoslife.com/BID. You don't want to even know about the consequences of not having life insurance. I've gone for stretches of my life kind of flapping in the wind like that without any health insurance. And it's a very disconcerting feeling. I wouldn't want to go through that again. And I hope nobody listening is going through that right now. I've also applied for life insurance and found it at times to be a combination of confusing, annoying, and a little tedious. And that's just not the case with Ethos. It is quick, as I said, quick, easy, and all online. Don't wait. Start your policy instantly today so your family is protected. No medical exam required. Just answer a few health questions 100% online. See your rate in minutes. Term life policies start as low as $10 a month. Ethos offers customizable coverage to fit your needs and budget. Get everything done online without complicated forms, doctor's appointments, or waiting for results. We all hate waiting for results at the doctors. Just answer some health questions online and get covered instantly. Protect your family today. Affordable options from 10 to 30 years of coverage. Get up to $2 million in term life insurance coverage in 10 minutes. Breaking that down, that's 5 minutes per $1 million in term life insurance coverage. Answer just a few health questions and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/BID. That's ETHOS life.com/BID. Protect your family today. Get up to 2 millimons in coverage in just 10 minutes at https://ethoslife.com/BID. And thanks to Ethos for sponsoring us.
Big thank you to Ethos.
Mm-hmm. Always.
As always. Jayhay, are the Mets still boring to you or no?
Oh, for God's sake.
Well, they swept the Yankees. I'm just asking the question. They are the Kings of New York. Is that boring or not?
Was that a grimace on your face, Jay?
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the arguments on behalf of the Mets being interesting when 100% of what was interesting was gimmicky off-field bullshit.
You mean the playoff position Mets?
No. Hold on. I'm talking.
Oh.
Two different things here. Hold on.
Okay.
in the month prior to about last week, it
Mhm.
was Grimace and it was Jose Iglesias. Okay. Those singing after the games. Okay. Those things are wonderful for the Mets fans. Okay. The
Mhm.
idea that I am supposed to then change my opinion on the fundamental interest of tuning in to watch that roster on a
Mhm.
day-to-day basis doesn't really hold any water with me. What has become
What's
interesting.
wrong with the roster?
Hold on. What's wrong with there is not a single starting pitcher that I can look at on that roster and be like, sweet, I'm tuning in to watch that guy. Anybody going to
Former
disagree
Oakland
with that?
ace Sean Manaea?
Yeah, Sean Manaea is like watching paint dry on the mound. No offense.
Oh my god.
Nobody likes watching Sean Manaea pitch.
I do.
Unless it's in person and he's throwing a no-hitter. Okay?
I love it.
So,
Jayhay, the Ghost Fork is on its way back. Jayhay,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah.
the
You guys
Ghost Fork is on its way back.
Neither of you guys believe what you're saying. The rotation is both
I believe it.
objectively not very good and not particularly interesting. What has become more interesting is that the winning has continued. They're now 5 games above 500, which I want to say may be a high watermark on the entire season. And secondly, that by far the most interesting player, in my opinion, on the Mets has
Lindor?
played MVP caliber baseball for multiple months now. And that Francisco Lindor has overcome his slow start. Again, however long you want to define that slow start, that seems to be a personal issue on Mets Twitter right now. They are more interesting than they were to start. I still don't think that anything what I said initially about the team is that they are 78 to 84 win team that, given the state of the NL, could very well creep into a wild card spot. That's never been a point that I've debated against. What I have debated against is the idea of where is this unit of players going over any sort of medium term. If the fans want to take enjoyment out of the fact that this Mets team is playing good baseball over the last couple of months and may very well end up in the playoffs, that's awesome. I would never begrudge any actual fan from doing that. I just don't understand where the disconnect is on this team having a 525 win percentage and me saying they're a 78 to 84 win team and somehow that being some sort of crazy fucking take that's aged like hot cheese in the hot sun. I think it's aged fine. And I don't think that there is all that much to be tuning into roster wise. That is that interesting. It's like the 18th or 19th or 20th most interesting team in baseball. Somebody disagree with that because I don't think either of you are going to.
No, it's just if you don't give a shit about a second place wild card team and they're not interested.
Oh, I don't. No.
You, then,
Wow.
You couldn't phrase it any better than that. A second place wild card team in an NL where that gets shaken up by the week. It's different
They're in the
names
mix,
every
Jay.
week. They are
They're in the
absolutely in the mix. And the NL has been rigged in a way where you can trot out this
Rigged.
sort of product. And
Determined.
Uh-oh.
Yep. No. This is
Choreographed.
no, not rigged in favor of the Mets. Just rigged in favor of trotting out rosters that are not really that good
Rigged
and
against the
falling
Mets.
into 5, 6, 7, 8 games above 500
They're holding it
because
holding
all the
Mets
other
back.
teams are so mediocre.
They're holding the Mets back and they're still succeeding.
Somebody on Reddit was like, what do the Mets have to do to be and directing the question really at me and the podcast, like, what do they have to do to be put in the conversation of the Dodgers and Phillies? And it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's like win more games. It's like they are 10 and a half games behind the Phillies. That might have something to do with why they're not in that conversation, right? The Phillies went to the playoffs. The Mets didn't. That might be something why they're not in that same conversation. I mean, that's one fan, so I'm not trying to make that representative of a entire fan base, but I think the Mets are, if we want to concede, or I want to concede, I will concede that they are 10% more interesting than I previously labeled them as. I hope that's a concession that Mets fans can be happy with, especially Cohen Hedge Fund, who tweets at me every day, and CJM, which for all I know may be the same goddamn dude.
Yeah,
But-
they're definitely going to lay out now. They're gonna back.
Yeah, they're gonna stop.
Is this team boring? Is this team boring? Is this team boring?
Fair questions.
I definitely get looped into some of this. Like if I tweet about the Mets, then I'll get one of them tweeting at me and then tagging Jayhay, being like, "This is boring, Jayhay."
I think it's fantastic
Look at
that the 2024 Mets season will be remembered by Mets fans for a 1980s McDonald's character who's apparently now part of the gay community. Rock on. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. What is it?
Yeah.
I missed that podcast, I think,
Grimace
but you
and the
guys did
Gay
a whole
Mets.
podcast on it.
Oh shit, that's right. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Hold on. Well, I never know what the
Yeah. So, okay. So a 1980s McDonald's character, a journeyman middle infielder rocking out post game and getting to tell Jayhay that the team was more interesting than he thought it was going to be. The 2024 Mets.
It sounds like you're a little bitter. That's okay. I mean, I've been there.
What am I to be bitter about? They're 53 and 48.
They're not boring. They have a shortstop who is a musical artist that performs live on the field. Like, that's not boring.
multi-talented.
I'm much more interested that what happens between innings 1 and 9.
They have a guy who's won multiple home run derbies, who is the face of the franchise, who has participated in the most recent home run derby. They have an MVP candidate at shortstop. They have Brandon.
I don't even want to hear it on
should have made
Lindor.
the All-Star team.
Crazy that I'm hearing from Mets fans on, why are you commenting on Lindor's slow start? I've been tweeting about and following Francisco Lindor since these people were in the fucking wound.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give you that, but the rest of it just feels personal.
No.
Well, you know what? Let's do a quick little check-in on my highlight for the New York Mets. Remember, I told you Reed Gerrit. Reed Garrett's a guy we got to keep an eye on. How things going for Reed Gerrit?
Yeah, cut that clip and get it ready for social. The I told you so, the completely unnecessary Reed Gerrit I told you so in the middle of the Mets. Yeah, that'll go. That's good. Good. Yeah. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bitter at all. I don't even dislike the Mets. I've watched more Mets games since I moved to the East Coast than maybe any other team. I love the broadcast booth. I just don't think this is a particularly interesting iteration of the Mets. I'll check back in future seasons, and then I can be, I'll return as a Mets super fan. It'll be great.
More like the Jayhay kid.
That's pretty good. I might use that.
You are a hater.
Fuck yeah, it's one of the things I do best. Next video essay is going to be full of that hate.
Any concern about Gerrit Cole being the worst pitcher in the league or no?
I mean, last night wasn't good. I mean, another 3 home runs, 5.40 ERA. So it's his highest ERA through that number of starts in his career. Probably not surprising.
I mean, is there any thought or concern that he may be back a little earlier than he needed to be, or maybe he's just not quite full health?
Yeah, I think he's just kind of. I think he's kind of washed. I think he's at an age where players start to deteriorate, and we're seeing it. It's kind of like when Peyton Manning just fell off a cliff one year. It's just like, wow, he went from being really good, now this guy sucks, and that's kind of what we're seeing with Gerrit Cole right now.
I mean, hyperbole aside, I'm hugely concerned.
Who the fuck's using hyperbole?
Whoa. Language. I mean, it's obviously hugely concerning. We can talk all we want about the offense, but if they don't have a horse at the front of the rotation, they're not going where they expect to go. I don't think expecting Luis Gil to be that guy.
He sucks too.
He's righted the ship. After that, kind of stumble there for over 3 or 4 starts, but expecting him to carry this through the end of the regular season and a full postseason workload burden is, I think, totally unrealistic. The whole premise of the Yankees is kind of a stars and scrubs setup, and if your stars are not performing at the level that they need to, then that's going to be a huge problem. And he's the only star caliber player that they have on that side of the. So to speak.
They might have to attach a prospect to Cole's contract to get him off the books.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yes or no? Is he detrimental to the team right now? Yes or no?
When Gerrit Cole is right, he's their best opportunity to win baseball games.
Oh, so we just dabble in opportunity. We don't dabble in fact anymore. It's just fantasy points.
Well, no, there's a couple teams in the AL East that have just dabbled in interest and opportunity. So it's something that's, I guess, becoming more of a common theme.
I feel like you're deflecting the question. Is he detrimental to the team or not?
No, I answered that question.
Could you answer it with a yes or no? Because it's a yes or no question.
No, he is not detrimental to the team.
Oh, he's not detrimental to the team?
No.
A guy with a 5.40 ERA and a 10 hits per nine and a 2.3 homers per nine?
Anybody performing at that clip in the moment is not doing them or their team any favors.
I mean,
but is Gerrit
this is not even a
Cole
sample. This is the whole sample. This is the whole season.
detrimental to his team?
Oh, yeah.
Garrett Cole will provide the Yankees the best opportunity to win a baseball game every time he takes them out.
It does not feel like it. I mean, if you go and look, the Yankees, what is their record when Gerrit Cole pitches this year? It's got to be like 0-7. It's 4-3. That's thank you, Juan
So it's
Soto.
a winning
Thank
record.
you, Aaron Judge.
It's a
Thank you,
winning
Juan
record.
Soto. Thank you, Aaron
So,
Judge.
so that
Not 'cause
almost
of
proves
him.
my point that when Gerrit Cole takes the ball, he gives them the best chance to win. Even with his poor performance, they've won more games than they've lost with Gerrit Cole on the mound.
OPS. If
No, wins and losses, though, right, is how we judge this whole thing? Like at the end of the year, if you go to the postseason, it's because of wins and losses?
No.
No?
No.
Oh. So they do. How do they decide that then?
I think it's more so where would
They
he
play it
go?
out over Stratomatic.
Oh, okay. Strato. Yeah, so 4-3 again, Gerrit Cole.
One game
giving
over
them the best
500 is
chance
not
to
going
win
to get it done. You know?
No, but if you start to look at other arms and you were to identify who's giving us the best chance to win, it's probably Gerrit Cole. So I'm probably right.
No. All right. I think it's that time.
Welcome back to Baseball is Dead Family Feud. I'm your man, Justin Havens. I know people have been waiting a long time for this. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. We got a good set of questions this week. You know, whoever crafted the questions, you know, the brain trust, the committee that puts together these questions, really tried to make it pod relevant. Things that have been discussed on the pod, things in the ether. So I feel like nothing is going to totally catch you guys off guard. It's a nice spread of answers. Definitely many, many pathways to victory, but nothing guaranteed in this life, as you guys both know. Who's going first?
What do you think, Dallas?
I don't know. Who went first last time? Do we want to switch or are we? I don't remember who went first.
I think I went first last time.
You want me to go first?
You can go first.
I'll go first.
All right. Get that shit muted, Jared. Whatever you got to do.
Oh, yeah. You good, dude? The fuck?
Yeah, I'm good.
Don't put too much pressure on yourself, brother. Let me know when you're good, Dallas.
What's up?
I just said, let me know when you're good.
Oh, I'm good.
Oh, sorry. It looked like you were like looking something up or something. All right, Jake, you ready?
Let's do it.
Oh, hold on. Let me get you screen. There we go.
Okay. All right. Ready, Dallas? Remember, this is out of 100 BID fans. Question 1. Between Judge, Gunnar, Witt Jr., and Soto, who do you think will win the AL MVP this season?
Bobby Witt Jr.
Who will be the biggest name traded at the MLB trade deadline this season?
Brent Rooker.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being complete calm and 10 being sheer terror, what level of panic would you have as a Mariners fan right now?
8.
Relative to preseason expectations, who is the most disappointing team in the National League this season?
Padres.
If you had to win one game, how many pitchers are you starting ahead of Paul Skeens?
2.
Thank you. Nicely done. Give me 1 second.
Fucking Padres was such a buckle answer.
It was fine. You said 8 for the Mariners one, right?
I did.
Yeah, okay. Just want to make sure.
Hold on. Gerrit can come back, right?
Yeah,
he's
Gerrit can
good.
come back.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
How did he do?
He
didn't
did all
seem
right.
stressed.
He didn't seem stressed. He was very calm. There was plenty of time left on the clock when he delivered the answer. There was no stress in that regard, at least not for me. I
Okay.
thought it was pretty stress-free. Jake, I have a number. Should we share it?
Yeah, what do you got?
I got 79.
Okay, I have 80.
Uh-oh. That's interesting. Wonder where the 25... Oh, yeah, 80. My bad. Whoops.
Whoa, fucking pencil whipping me?
I know. I didn't want to cheat you on a point. All right, Gerrit, you got 80 points.
Okay, so I need $1.20.
You need $1.20. This is the most legitimate drama we've had in a little while. This is good. All right. Jake, you will make the sound, correct? So I don't have to do it with my stupid voice.
I don't have that sound, so you're going to have to do it with your voice. Yeah.
Okay, I will do it with my voice then. Gerrit, if you answer the same question, as you know, you will hear.
Okay.
This is out of 100 fans. Here we go. Question 1. Between Judge, Gunnar, Witt Jr., and Soto, who do you think will win the AL MVP this season?
Judge.
Who will be the biggest name traded at the MLB trade deadline this season?
Crochet.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being complete calm and 10 being sheer terror, what level of panic would you have as a Mariners fan right now?
8. 7.
Relative to preseason expectations, who is the most disappointing team in the National League this season?
Cubs.
If you had to win one game, how many pitchers are you starting ahead of Paul Skeens?
0.
Thank you. Add these up. Only one the same.
What did you say for the Skeens question, Dallas? 1?
2.
Who would you have picked?
Like we're talking like right now, right?
Yeah.
Scooble, maybe
All right.
Sale, and that's just the lefties. That's just
I'm
me.
Fine.
What-
I'm fine with the answer being 0.
Okay, let's go through the answers here. Question 1. Between Judge, Gunnar, Witt Jr., and Soto, who do you think will win the AL MVP this season? Dallas delivered the number 2 answer with Bobby Witt Jr., 23. And Gerrit came over the top with the number 1 answer, Aaron Judge, 54. Gunnar Henderson got 22. Juan Soto got 1 single vote. Who will be the biggest? So that between the two of you there, that is a nice, clean 77 points. Nice start. Who will be the biggest name traded at the MLB trade deadline this season? Dallas answered Brent Rooker.
Jesus Christ, dude.
That got 2 points.
Boom, baby.
Up to 79. Gerrit thankfully delivered a more popular answer with Gerrit Crochet. That was the number 2 answer with 25 points. Obviously, this was the question with by far the largest spread of answers. So 27 points out of that is actually not terrible.
Who's number
for
1?
You. Scooble got 31.
He's not getting traded. I mean, neither is Crochet, but.
So that brings you to 77, 79. What's that? 104 we got here through 2 questions. Good stuff so far. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a complete calm and 10 being sheer terror, what level of panic would you guys have as Mariners fans right now? You guys are plugged in with Mariners fans, at least as they're represented on Discord. Dallas delivered an 8. That was the number 2 answer with 28. Gerrit tried that, but instead delivered the number 1 answer with 34. That was 7. So you guys are up to, I believe, 166 through 3 questions. Those were by far 7 and 8 were by far the most popular answers for that, by the way. I personally would have said 10. And I would have only gotten 9 points. Relative to preseason expectations, who is the most disappointing team in the National League? You guys need 34 points remaining. Dallas answered the Padres. That was the 4th most popular answer, 9 points. So that brings you up to 173. Sorry, 175. 25 points is what you needed. Gerrit answered the Chicago Cubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly 25 points.
Boom,
Wow.
baby. Boom, baby.
Count it.
Undada.
With one question left to spare, you guys hit that the Braves were the number one answer. I thought the Cubs would have been the runaway number one answer for whatever it's worth. Braves actually the number one with 29. And then the last question, if you had to win one game, how many pitchers are you starting ahead of Paul Skeens? You guys, I believe, said
2
and 0.
Dallas said 2 and 0. Those are the first and third most popular answers. 0 was the number one answer with 37. 2 got 18 points. So you guys got 55 out of that. Another nice one. So congratulations. Back in the winners column.
Love it. Good for us.
We did it.
Nice. I think that's the best mix of questions and answers we've had in a couple of rounds. That was good. Good job, guys.
Good for us. Good for us.
We did it.
Yep, you did.
Yeah, I buckled on the Padres. The Cubs was absolutely the answer.
It's all right. You still got 9 points. You guys didn't have any whiffs. That's key. No utter panic.
Even Brent Rooker got me a barrel.
Brent Rooker was a whiff.
Yeah, that's not good.
That was a foul tip, I guess.
Well, no, like Scooble, honestly, like I had Scooble in my brain on that answer, and then Scooble was on my brain for the Skeens answer as well. But I was thinking the same thing that you said about Crochet, is there's no way that they get rid of either one of these dudes. So Scooble was going to be my answer for the trade, but I was like, he's not moving.
Wow. Yep. And Discord takes no blame in this one. No pot shots.
Yeah, Discord nailed this
hosts.
one. Yeah, Discord nailed this one.
And
I'm not just saying that because we won. I'm saying because I did great.
Yeah. We know why you're saying it.
Mm-hmm. They nailed it.
Good job, guys.
Good for us.
Good job.
That's right. That's right.
We were due. Okay, Jayhay, you got some nugs or no?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I bet you do.
Oh yes.
I bet you do.
Just some pitching stuff on some guys going primarily today. The Corbin Burns, he's actively pitching against the Marlins right now, so this will be a dated nug by the time you hear it. But nevertheless, he owns a 1.95 ERA in 27 2/3 career innings pitched against the Marlins. He's currently through 3 scoreless. The Orioles are up 5-0. No surprise there. Dylan Cease, he's at the Nationals today. Over his last 2 starts, he has 13 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 runs, and 21 strikeouts. He's trying to become the 6th Padres pitcher to have a streak of 3 straight starts or more with double-digit strikeouts, along with Blake Snell, Jake Peavy, Dinelson Lamet, Kevin Brown, and Clay Kirby. Taj Bradley is at the Blue Jays. He has a 0.92 ERA over his last 8 starts. That is the lowest ERA over an 8-start span in a single season by an AL pitcher since Dylan Cease from late June to early July 2022. And here is the full list. So he's making his 9th start in what will be this stretch today. Here is the full list of AL pitchers with a sub-1 ERA over a 9-start stretch in the wild card era. Quickly, 96 Oral Hershiser, 97 Roger Clemens, 2000 Pedro, 2001 Barry Zito, 02 Pedro, 04 Johan, 09 Greinke, 10 Felix, 11 Verlander, 16 Michael Fulmer, 18 Verlander, he did it 7 years apart, 18 Chris Sale, 22 Martin Perez, and 22 Dylan Cease. So Taj Bradley is trying to, a lot of those guys won Cy Youngs in the year that they did that. I don't know if Todd Bradley is going to get there, but he's on an epic heater right now. And then George Kirby is also on the bump. He has a 2.05 ERA over his last 10 starts. But more interestingly, he has 65 strikeouts and only 7 walks over those 10 starts. And that got me thinking. I was like, 7 walks is very, very few walks over a 10-start span, even for a control artist like George Kirby. And I wondered, how often have we seen 65 or more strikeouts and 7 or fewer walks over a 10-start span? And that has happened too many times to name on a podcast. But what hasn't happened is that Logan Gilbert also has a streak active of 65 or more strikeouts and 7 or fewer walks over his last 10 starts. So these are both concurrent, actively going at the same time streaks for teammates of 65 or more strikeouts and 7 or fewer walks over a 10-start span.
That's never been done.
That has never, while we were doing the podcast, I was looking at this. I went back through every season since 1901 in Baseball Reference. You have never had teammates have concurrent stretches of that many strikeouts and that few walks over the same season in MLB history. There have been teammates who have done it in the same season, but never at the same time. So what we have seen from, I know that's very specific, but what we are seeing from Logan Gilbert and George Kirby in terms of strikeout and walk mix over a 10-start stretch has literally never been done by teammates at the same time.
That is so fucking impressive. That is so impressive.
Yeah,
oh my God, dude.
Basically,
dude.
It's like 8 strikeouts and like half a walk per start.
Right. It's like you're punching out 10 and then throwing one ball. Punching out 10 and then throwing the second ball.
And by the way, just to circle back from the main conversation that we had in this podcast, that's basically all happened while the Mariners are in utter free fall.
Be getting fucking trashed. Yeah.
Yeah. These guys are just fucking, and it's not like they're doing all this strikeout to walk work and then you go and look in reference and somehow one of them's got a 4.8 ERA despite that work. No. They're both sub 2.5. Like the ERAs are fine. But anyway, that's the last nug. I love that one.
Yeah, that was tasty.
Man, this is I gotta play this. It's off the topic of our Aaron Boone conversation from earlier. It's from Brooks Gate, which is turning into one of my favorite Twitter follows. It's a compilation of Aaron Boone, I guess, sayings after losses.
But, it's all right there in front of us. The great thing is it's right in front of us. We have it right in front of us. It's right in front of us, right?
But it is right in front of us.
But, it's all right there in front of us. The silver lining in it all is it is in front of us. It's all right there in front of us. We got the pen.
It's right there in front of us.
See, okay, so that's funny, legitimately funny. But I think that's an instance of where being a day-to-day fan and being like knee deep in it actually does you a disservice from viewing the situation the way that it needs to be viewed, because that's annoying. And if I heard that once a week for 3 years, I'd be like, God damn it, he said it's right in front of us again. But does that really, really fucking matter? No, it doesn't. It's funny, but it doesn't matter.
And Jayhay, you know what that is too? I think that's part of the brain that when you do the job that we have done, and when I say we, I mean myself and Aaron Boone, in terms of broadcasting baseball games, talking about baseball games, talking about teams and players, something that is drilled into you is don't speak about this team, don't speak about this game like everybody watching follows these teams day to day. You have to speak about what we're seeing and what we're watching and break it down to a point where the fan who's passing by and is watching this for the first time can understand. And also the fan who is, as you just said, Jayhay, knee deep and in the trenches with you, understands what you're saying, and everybody gets it. So I think part of that is him saying, look, man, this is kind of what I have to do. This is what I say when I know that we're ready to turn a corner, blah, blah, blah. And if you're just checking in and you hear that, you're like, okay, good. But if you've watched the press conference yesterday and you watch it today and you're going to watch it tomorrow and there's a solid chance within a week, you're going to hear some redundancy in the assessment of a club. And that's because that's how baseball works. The guy who went 0 for 4 yesterday, who you were clamoring to get out of the lineup, that goes 4 for 5 today, is now the reason you won the series when 24 hours ago he was the reason you were going to get swept, right? And so like that's how quick things change. So that's why it's just reminding folks, hey, it's right there in front of us.
Dallas, final thoughts?
No, I guess I've like on a big picture because we've been having conversations and we just had the conversation with Tim Kirchin. And if you are unfamiliar with how that went, please go back and download and listen to last episode. He started talking about the playoff picture, and we understand where teams are at in this playoff picture. Part of me still wants to be upset and angry that it feels like we've just opened up the gate for everybody to come and participate in the postseason. And then part of me doesn't want to deny the excitement that is there inherently when having the conversation. Well, are we serious? We got 10 teams in a wild card picture? 10 in the National League. That's pretty sweet. Like in the wild card picture. So I think processing that and coming to terms with the fact that this is what the postseason looks like or could look like, I'm trying to get over what that means fiscally for teams. And I'm just trying to embrace the idea of teams being a part of a postseason picture and forgetting about the financial implications that come along with that. So I think I'm working my way through that. Just wanted to share that with the class.
Jayhay, final thoughts?
Nice little therapy sesh there. No, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to some of this weekend action. Specifically, you mentioned it casually earlier, but I am still legitimately interested in what happens with the Yankees and Red Sox. I mean, I think it is a potential inflection point for either team season. I know the Red Sox have been reeling a bit in the second half, particularly coming off that absolute bludgeoning last night. First team in, I believe it was 8 years to give up 20 runs and commit 4 errors in the same game since the 2016 Phillies. But nevertheless, I think it could be an inflection point for both of these teams. Obviously, there's a level of panic going on in both situations. It's leading right up to the deadline, which I think is just magical. Puts a lot of pressure on both teams, puts a lot of focus on both teams. And, you know, I'm legitimately excited to see that. I'm also excited to see Dodgers and Astros. You know, I know that World Series has now come to be viewed in a completely different light than I was viewing it at the time while it happened. But, you know, I still think about World Series rematch. There are still a few contributors on each side who were there for that season. But obviously 2 high-level division leading teams that I'm looking forward to see. So that's a small sampling of what I'm looking forward to.
All right.
And Phillies guards too. Got to call that out.
Yeah, that'll be a big one. Jake's takes?
Yeah, just a big Red Sox Yankees series this weekend. Gerrit and I will be there tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
Red Sox have been reeling a bit, but it's right there in front of us. Just got to go out there and take it. That's
right. That's what we got to do. We're going to do it this weekend. To everyone listening, to everyone watching, to all the new listeners, if Tim Kirchin was what brought you over to Baseball is Dead this week, welcome. To everyone that's been supporting us all along, we very much appreciate it. We will be back, as always, on Monday. Enjoy your weekend of baseball, and we'll see you right back here Monday morning for more Baseball is Dead. Enjoy your weekend. See you next time. Bye.
Have the day you deserve to have because it's right in front of you. We out.